Tab, I could only imagine that going through cancer and the experience of cancer has to be a frightening thing, just the word itself.
Yes.
But how do you relate that to young people, and how do you express that without it being horrific? In the building with us is somebody that I'm so excited about. She is an author, and what's funny is that Miss Tracy and I were on the phone last night till 11 o'clock or so talking about this young lady, because I've never heard Miss Tracy be so excited about an interview before. She's like, I gotta meet her. So, loud and proud, please tell everybody who I'm blessed to have in the building with me today.
Well, thank you for that lovely, lovely introduction. I'm Julia R. Davis. I am actually author of the I Love Me book series.
Wow. I Love Me. Man, that's hot. So let's talk a little bit about what's the I Love Me book series all about.
Well, it's just pretty much what it says. It's actually encouraging our children to love themselves as they are. I think in our community sometimes we actually forget to encourage self-love. And that actually starts at a very, very young age.
Absolutely.
So I try to enforce that. I actually have started, for the last 3 years, I do a lot of children's events before I actually became a published author. And they are entitled I Love Me events. And they do encourage self-love. It's always, you don't just have to raise your hand. You have to raise your hand and say, I love me. It's encouraging that phrase over and over and over and over again until it finally sinks in. Most recently, we did with Breast Cancer Month. I have obviously family members who have had breast cancer. They actually have overcome that, blessingly enough. I have had friends who unfortunately have lost that battle. So I did find that and do find that near and dear to my heart, and always try to do something during that month. And with that said, obviously September is also Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, which we try to promote as well. So this month we actually tied them both in. I know a girl who's actually 8 years old, and she was recently diagnosed with cancer. So obviously as an adult, that's a hard thing to deal with. As an 8-year-old, I couldn't even imagine. As a parent, I couldn't even imagine having an 8-year-old child with cancer. So we wanted to bring awareness both to childhood cancer and adult cancer and breast cancer and every awareness that there is possible. So we had an event doing such that where the kids obviously had a chance to donate and come and support and sign Ayana's card to wish her well and blessings, as well as obviously support her family. We also brought awareness to breast cancer at that event. There were actually breast cancer facts on each table brought to us by our characters in our book. Okay. So again, it's child friendly because cancer can be very, very scary as an adult. So of course we didn't want to pretty much scare every child that came in there, but make it obviously fun, but at the same time encourage them to start at an early age to take things seriously.
I think it's really important that we have some different ways to deal with issues. Yes. Everybody doesn't necessarily get it via dialogue. Everybody doesn't get it via visual. So there's a mix somewhere in between here and there. The first thing I'd like to know is, how do people have an opportunity to get I Love Me?
I Love Me is actually, I have a website conveniently called Julia R. Davis. So you can actually go through there. Our social media sites is actually Facebook and Instagram, entitled I Love Me book series. We on the website and Instagram highly promote the series because obviously kids are pretty much social media gurus.
Yes, they are.
And although Facebook's a lot of us, the adults, we tend to go to that. Our Instagram is usually geared towards the kids because they want to take selfies and they want to post pictures. So to grasp that audience, we do go to Instagram a lot. My website actually has upcoming events. You can purchase the books, the bookmarks, through the month of October, which is actually ending Friday. We are still collecting donations for Ayana. She is doing well. She has done her 6th round of chemo. Next month, she will be doing a bone marrow surgery. So we still want to help the family. We still want to encourage the kids to give back, to help this little girl. So again, any donation, any book purchase, any bookmark purchase, anything is actually can be done through that Julia R. Davis website.
Okay, that's great.
So let's talk about these books. You've got several books, the I Love Me and my big dreams. I love me because I'm different. I love me, and I have cancer, and I love me. And you have I love me and my big hair. I think that it's extremely important that we identify the books, we identify the purpose of the books and what's different about each one. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick little musical break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the books. Got to say that we're back, and as part of the search for different things to do in acknowledgement for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we were extremely blessed to run across this author. And she's much more than a business owner. She's much more than an author. She's somebody who is really dedicated to making the lives of children and making the lives of people that are experiencing this horrific illness just a little bit more pleasant. So we've got to say kudos to her. We love her so much for all that she's doing. So again, we're going to ask that you let everybody know your name and let everybody know that besides the book, what else do you do?
What else do I do? My name is Julia R. Davis. I am actually an author, creator of the I Love Me book series. In addition to that, I actually have a 9-to-5, but I also actually am the owner and creator of TrueChatOnline.com, which is a 3-year-old blog. So I do have that event in Avenue, which obviously the I Love Me events take place from. And then in addition to that, if that was not enough, I actually have my own jewelry line.
Really?
Which actually, at the most recent event, we had some breast cancer awareness bracelets, obviously some children's awareness bracelets. So yes, I am a jack of all trades.
And of course, you know that one of my worst habits is jewelry and clothes. So we'll definitely be talking about designing something special for the doc. Hey, listen, what's the motivation behind the books?
The motivation behind the books is actually I love children. I have 2 of my own. They are very grown. I can't even call them children anymore. But I've always, and I think that passion comes from my mother, has always been one to help.
Okay.
Once I started doing these children's events,
okay,
I noticed that it just wasn't enough. Our kids were still lacking some self-confidence.
Something.
Yes.
Tab, I see you jumping out your seat. Go right ahead, because I know you got a question for her.
You know, I'm looking at the title, and all these books start out with I Love Me Because. And just want to know, how did you come up with all the different titles? Because one is I'm Different, you know, My Big Dreams. You know, what motivated you to come up with the different titles there?
I think there are so many avenues to touch on. There is actually so many more books to be written in that directions I need to go. I think in our community, we tend to tease our children. And again, our adults lack a lot of self-confidence, and that's because it wasn't instilled in them when they were little.
Yes.
So we have to start at a very young age. And we're teased for so many reasons, whether it's the shade of our skin, whether it's our weight, the color of our hair, whether our hair is straight, curly, whether we have cancer, whether we're in a wheelchair, which is actually the next one. There are so many different avenues, but we are beautiful just the way we are.
Absolutely.
So each title just pretty much comes to me.
Okay.
You know, I got to go to the phone line real quick.
Hi.
In the studio with us, got me on here brushing off my shoulder, Miss Davis.
Yes.
Let's talk about these books.
Yes.
How we get them?
You actually go to juliardavis.com.
Really?
You sure do.
Okay.
And there's actually a purchase books as well as a purchase bookmark.
So how do we get them in the schools?
We're actually working on that. I am actually working on getting in a couple of counties and doing some book reads as well as libraries. I love to travel.
Got it for you.
I just don't do things in Atlanta. I've actually done events and workshops in South Carolina. I've done workshops in New York. It's all about educating and bringing these books and the self-love
bringing
to
awareness.
our children.
It's a bug in here. Everybody laughing at me. It's a bug.
We are trying to stay focused.
It's a bug.
And he's trying to listen with a bug.
I want to. All right, I got sisters. Don't make me run. So one of the things that we want to talk to you, Ms. Davis, is that we're doing a literacy program in Clayton County, and your books would be great. One of the things that we realize that with African Americans, especially with our young boys, somewhere around the age of about 8 to 10 years of age, they begin to truly struggle with reading, and it becomes such an issue with them. Is that that's one of the reasons why they're dropping out of school in such large numbers, because they're embarrassed to read in front of the class. They'd rather be suspended, be sent home, than face the humiliation, and that's how eventually they're recruited by the streets. So you're definitely God sent. And what's funny is that we had to go through a lot to get you here.
We did.
We'll talk about that off air too. Okay? We had to go through a lot. Okay. So again, if there is a website and you want to mention some of the names of the books again, you're going to hang out with us for a while. But we want people to do something different. We want you to go out and get this material. You got a bunch of other junk and a bunch of other mess in the house that's not a blessing to anybody. So let's try this. Let's do something different. Ms. Davis, please tell them how to get your information.
Yes, you're going to go to juliardavis.com. And you can purchase the books there. They are not on Kindle yet, and they are purposely not on Kindle yet. I want to encourage someone to pick up a book and actually read. In today's technology world, our kids, it's okay for us adults. Yes, we're on the subway, we're on the bus, the plane. So yeah, we need something to do. But unfortunately, we've gotten away from that parent time with that nighttime reading, daytime reading. So obviously, if we're not doing that at a young age, that's why our adults are having trouble with literacy. That's why we have to have so many programs. So that's why they are not on Kindle, because I do want to encourage that bedtime reading right
Absolutely.
now.
I got to tell you that I'm really happy that you're here. I'm happy about what the future will bring to us and the opportunity to partner up with you moving forward. We're going to take a break, and when we come... Hey, but listen though, Miss Davis, I got to take a moment before we talk with our special guest. I want to find out again the differences in the book, and one more time let folks know how to get a hold of it.
Absolutely. The differences in the book are they are actually touch on each. These four actually touch on four different areas. I Love Me Because I'm Different actually touches on two twins who, although they are twins, they don't look the same. They're not identical, and one actually has a little issue with her appearance. So teaching her that being different is actually okay. It's not a bad thing. I Love Me and My Big Hair is obviously about, that actually has a dual purpose. We are always teased a lot about our hair and on its natural state. And a lot of kids, unfortunately, when they go to school and they go to a school where they're 1 to 10, excuse me 1 second, they go to school where they're 1 to 10, African Americans, they are usually teased. And don't want to wear their hair curly or poofy in a puff. So that book, I Love Me and My Big Hair, actually is about a girl who actually loves her hair. But when she goes to visit her dad and her new stepmom, she goes to camp and she actually gets teased. So it's actually a dual role where it has that blended family that we're dealing with, as well as encouraging her that her hair is really beautiful just the way it is. So that's that role.
Hey, listen, here's what I need you to do. Do me a favor. Your publicist is a phenomenal, I'm not sure if the correct title is your publicist, but your community relations. What's her name?
Kiana.
Got to thank Miss Kiana for making this interview happen. She is super. Before you get ready to get out the way today, Miss Davis, any closing words, anybody you want to say hello to?
Well, of course, you got to say hello to Mom. Mom is actually the reason. She obviously encouraged me to do all things possible, which is why I am a jack of all trades. So, of course, hi, Mom. Cannot forget her. And again, you can find the books on juliardavis.com. We are on Instagram at I Love Me Because I'm Different. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm looking at the book, so that's why I'm doing that. It's the Instagram and actual Facebook is I Love Me book series, and a big shout out to obviously the illustrator Ayanna Davis, who actually brings my words to life, because as you can see, those images are amazing.
Absolutely, we love it, we love it, we love it.